I chose the marina because this is where the boat launch is, and Lake Mead has always been a boater's paradise. Now, I do follow quite a lot of local YouTubers around here, some guys that do a lot better when fishing off boats than I do, so I'm not going to pretend like I know anything. I'd rather recommend you guys watching some of the Sin City guys or Miguel, or any one of the numerous amounts of people that fish off boats. Likewise, you get quite a lot of guys like Henderson Hooking or Kadenventures, quite a lot of guys doing videos about fishing off a kayak. So if you're interested in about fishing off kayaks, please go check out these other guys. Whereas I'm more of a bank angler, but during the summer months it does get quite difficult to find fish. Yes, you have some carp and catfish feeding up shallow, but the rest of the fish, as it gets hotter, they start moving out into deeper water, or they go for cover. They split into two groups. Some go for cover, some go to deeper water. Here at Lake Mead, there's not a lot of cover, so most of the fish tend to go into deeper water. So how do we bank anglers then try and find these fish? Having a boat is a good idea. You can move across large bodies of water quite quickly, find out where the fish are. But unfortunately, I don't have a pickup or a boat or even a skipper's license. So the next best idea would be to use a kayak. Now, you don't cover as much water in a kayak as you do a boat, but you still get out into the water. But again, I don't have a pickup, nor do I have a car with a roof rack, so I can't put a kayak on top of the car. Well, believe it or not, there is another option, a third little option, and that is a float tube. Now, the wife bought me a float tube, something brand new, haven't used it yet, so I still need to see if the thing even can carry my weight. So let's get down to the water. All right, ladies and gents, and here we go. This is the SS Minnow. It's a little float tube that we're going to be using out there today. Now, the first thing is going to be trying to get into the little float tube to see how it works before loading all the gear and going out fishing. But before we get to that, safety first. When going out onto the water, always ensure you have a little life vest. More people drown at Lake Mead than are supposed to, so whenever you're out on a boat, a kayak or a float tube, use your life vest. Alright, ladies and gents, finally made our way out onto the water. I kind of spent an hour fishing for some largemouth bass up in the shallows, wasted an hour of my own time, but we made it out into the water finally. Remember that you have to be on the outside of the marina. I'm next to the marina boundary wall, got myself anchored against the tires, and I'm going to be fishing this area. We'll see if we get any fish out there. Been seeing quite a lot of activity, a lot of fish jumping around, and it does take quite a lot of energy to get out here, but it is quite cool and nice in the water, so no complaints. Let's start fishing. Alright guys, we got our first little fish. Didn't take that long. Don't know what it is yet. It's putting up a big fight. First time fishing with this tiny little ugly stick. Thought having a smaller rod something that I can use quite easily would be the better way to go. We have a little bass in the water alongside channel catfish. Alright, so let's see if we can land this little catfish. Brought my little lip grips. And there we go. Decent catfish. Nice sized catfish out in deeper water. This one has some parasites on his lip as well as some sores. Dark colorations on him. Lovely to get a fish out here. First fish in the little flow tube. Let's quickly get the hook out. Had to pack light for this trip, but I still got my pliers out here with me. Right, and then right in front of me I have a little ruler, so let's quickly see how big this cat is. Gonna put the fork at 0, and that's 18 inches 45 centimeters. Nice decent catfish. Thanks for biting, little guy. Let's get him back into the water. Just want to revive him a bit, but he looks good to go. And off he goes, directly down under into the cover. Alright guys, this is what I'm doing. I have a little Shakespeare dock demon or dock runner, one of the little ugly sticks, one of the small ones. This is one I fished out of Floyd Lamb Park. This is the first time I'm using it. I'm using it because it's rather short. Don't need a 9-foot rod when I'm only going to be casting straight down below me. So this thing is ideal to let the baits down into the water. And I'm just simply using some anchovies. And all I'm going to be doing is going to cast it out, let it sink down, put the little rod next to me. That way I can see if something happens to the little rod. And on the second rod, I'm going to be putting on some lures, throwing them around, because I can see some bass swimming around in the water. So let's see if we get any. I've seen quite a few largemouth bass and some stripers, so I'm going for some baitfish imitations, some shad looking imitations, trying to see if I can get any of these bass to commit to my lure. And remember guys, always pack in what you pack out, meaning if you bring this, take it with you, don't leave it where it is. Alright ladies and gents, another fish on. This one is also on the anchovy. I think this time we have a striper. Also have a little largemouth following the striper. There we go, a little striper landed, decent size one, getting a bit deeper out into the water, granting us to some nice fish again. Don't have to catch some dinks, can finally land some better fish. Alright, so lovely little striper. Let's get him back into the water. Forgot I brought my little GoPro along, so let's see if we can get some underwater footage of releasing this guy. It's going to be very quick. And there he goes, straight back down. Alright guys, thought I'll give the bass another try. We have a smallmouth bass, but that's not what went for our little lure. We have another striper on. Smallmouth is following that striper. And there we go guys, another little striper. This one's not caught on the little float. We have our float out there, just quickly tied on my lures again, threw them around. We got ourselves this little striper. Alright little guy, thanks for biting. And there he goes. Alright ladies and gents, I'm afraid I have a DMV appointment, so that's all the time I have for a video today. You might then think, but why go out and fish at all if you have another appointment? Well, simply put, it's because of the weather. Now that's very important when using a float tube like this. You don't want to be out on the lake when there's lots of wind around. So you have to look for days where there's no wind. And of course, if you know anything about water and deserts, you'll know that anywhere you have a difference in the temperature above the water and above the ground, you will always have wind. That is why Lake Mead is a windy place. And the days where there's a little bit of wind, they are few and far in between. So that just simply means that even though I love doing the little float tube video, I'm not going to do just float tube videos. I have to pick the days that I can go out. So if you're someone that was worried about that, don't worry, I will still do different types of videos, not just float tube videos. But as far as the day went, saw tons of fish out there. Would love to be out there still trying to figure out how to catch these fish. Some of the fish actually seems like they were interested in me. They came to investigate. If I could find a way to get them to commit to some lures, that would be interesting. But all in all, we had a good day. Caught a couple of fish out there. I have to say, was quite surprised how easy and quickly I got on some fish. But I also did spend quite a lot of time on the bank. Saw lots of bass around still trying to get them to go for my lures. If you're someone that cannot afford a boat or a kayak, consider getting one of these little float tubes. You can get them on Amazon. They're not that expensive, quite easy to put in a car. Simply blow them up and go float around on the water. Very fun to do. Alright guys, but I think that's going to be it for this video. If this is the first video of mine you're seeing, consider hitting the subscribe button, joining my community. If you haven't done so already, please do give a little thumbs up on this video. It helps so other people can also see it. And like always, feel free to ask any questions down below in the comments. And the last few things to do is thank the wife for giving me a little float tube. And I want to thank you guys for following me on this trip. And like always, I'll see you next time.